Going once, going twice, hearing none. The minutes as presented on the agenda will stand approved. Should I start now because of that?
Yes, sir. You can start from the top if you don't mind.
When I got the that screen on the background, I thought that was the 60-second start time. So let me start over. The meeting of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice Business and Financial Operations Committee is called to order in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the Open Meetings Act. A quorum of the committee is present, and the meeting is now declared open. It is 9:35 a.m. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Are there any amendments or objections to the proposed minutes as presented? Hearing none, the minutes as presented on the agenda will stand approved. The next item on the agenda is the Manufacturing, Agribusiness, and Logistics Division Report, which will be presented by Division Director, Mr. Billy Hirsch. Mr. Hirsch, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. Please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Chairman O'Daniel, Mr. Collier, members. Today, we were prepared to present one pipeline easement agenda item. That item being 2 easements on the Stiles unit in Jefferson County for Sunoco Pipeline LP. However, on Monday, December the 14th, Sunoco requested to withdraw and amend their easement request due to issues unrelated to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Sunoco was working diligently on amending their original easement for consideration at a future board meeting. We recommend that the board take no action on this agenda item during the regular session of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. I stand for questions, if any.
We expect to see this come up again. Do you have any idea when? Will it be, this coming year? Or?
Yes, sir. They're trying to get their stuff in to go to the board in February, but they just had some issues with some other pipelines in the area. And it's going to be a very similar easement, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more money for us.
Good news. Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have one more. Last item on the agenda is the Facility Division Report, status of board approved projects, presented by Facilities Division Director, Mr. Cody Gensel. Mr. Gensel, please proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Chairman O'Daniel, Mr. Collier, members. I'd like to provide an update of the status of board approved projects. Start with item number 1, Jester 4 unit roofing project. This project is currently at 83% complete. Contractor has completed the main building roof replacement and is now working on the H&J interconnecting common area roof. Item number 2 is the pallet unit roofing project. This project is to replace the original 38-year-old roof, which is now complete. A total of 142,500 square feet of roof was replaced for this project. Item number 3 is a Cofield unit roofing project. This project is currently at 18% complete. The contractor has completed 8 sections and is continuing work on the main building roof. Item number 4 is the Michael unit roofing project. This project is currently at 5% complete. The contractor is continuing work on demoing sections of the 12 building roof, as well as completing membrane installation on A, B, and D pods. Item number 5 is a Young unit roofing project. This project is currently at 19% complete. The contractor has completed 8 sections and is continuing work on the main building roof. Item number 6 is a Hughes unit design only for roof replacement. This design is currently at 80% complete. Items number 7 and number 8 are the projects to replace the plumbing control and fixtures at the Ellis and Estelle units. Both projects are now complete. These are the intelligent conservation, or what we call the ICON projects, that were completed by our facilities division in-house maintenance staff. For these projects, a total of over 6,200 toilet, shower, and laboratory valves were changed out to electronic sensor control ones to reduce water usage. Change slide. Item number 9 is the bird unit project to replace a locking system on A and C cell blocks. This project is now complete. For this project, 416 new electronic locks and closure light indicators were installed, as well as 16 new control panels. This system replaced the original manual crank door system that was on each of those 2 cell blocks. Item number 10 is a Lindsay project to replace the locking system. This project is currently at 95% complete and is in the final punch list phase. Item number 11 is the Hodge unit project to install air conditioning. This project is currently at 47% complete. The contractor is currently working on connecting gas supply lines to air handling units, as well as demoing existing ductwork in areas that are required. Item number 12 is a wind unit project to replace a primary electrical distribution system. This project is currently at 52% complete. The contractor is continuing work on conduit installation and installing concrete pads for the equipment. And lastly, item number 13 is the Ferguson unit design only for the replacement of the water treatment plant. The design is currently at 78% complete. This concludes my project status update. I'll stand by for any questions you may have.
That water design, ooh, I'm hearing an echo. The water design project is just design only.
That's correct. Just design only for the Ferguson unit.
Any questions?
Yes, I do. I have a question on the roof. Mr. Jinsel, on the average, how long does a new roof last?
Well, they're designed for 20 to 25 years average life expectancy once a new roof is put in place. And as you can see from some of our facilities, some of those are much older.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What you're saying is we got our money's worth out of those older
Yes, sir.
roofs. All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Gensel.
Yes, sir.
That's it for our agenda for this meeting. The meeting of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice Business and Financial Operations Committee is now adjourned. It is 9:42 a.m. Thank you all.
The 214th meeting of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice is called to order in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the Open Meetings Act. During this meeting, the board will be conducting business from the agenda posted in the Texas Register. Members of the board present for this meeting include Vice Chairman Darylyn Perriman, members Mano de Ayala, Judge Faith Johnson, Judge Molly Francis, Eric Nichols, Ambassador Sishan Siv, and Dr. Rodney Burrow. A quorum of the board is present and the meeting is now declared open. It is 9:46. Before we get started, I would like to invite you to join in pledging allegiance to our United States and Texas flags. Deputy Director Oscar Mendoza will lead us in the pledges. Mr. Mendoza, please proceed.
You're muted.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, Mr. Collier. Please join me in our nation's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And thank you, Mr. Mendoza. Let's now move to the invocation. Dr. Burrow, will you open our meeting up with a word of prayer?
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for a love that surpasses all understanding. Thank you for the opportunity to live and serve in the greatest state in the Union, Texas. Lord, I ask that you bless all its leaders and citizens. Bless the entire TBCJ staff and all inmates, Lord. We ask that you bless this board as it conducts its business. Lord, we pray for healing for all the sick with COVID-19 and also for those that have lost loved ones to COVID-19. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Dr. Burrow. One note about electronic devices. As a courtesy to speakers and guests in the meeting, please turn electronic devices to the silent or vibrate mode. Thank you. Also, I know this is a virtual meeting and these will come to an end eventually. And I also realize many are watching, but I would like to take a moment and say thank you to any public officials and or staff representatives with us today. Thank you for joining, and most importantly, thank you for your support. Let us begin. The Texas Board of Criminal Justice is committed to providing an opportunity for public presentations on posted agenda topics, as well as public comments on issues within its jurisdiction as provided in Board Rule 151.4. Persons interested in speaking at today's meeting were required to complete and submit the registration form provided in the posting of today's meeting by 5 p.m. on December 15th, 2020. For today's meeting, no speaker registration forms were received by board staff prior to the required deadline. Therefore, no public presentations will be heard on posted agenda topics today. So let's move in to our first agenda item, recognitions. So let's begin the recognitions. Mr. Collier, you have the first recognition. Mr. Bobby Lumpkin, TBCJ CID Director. Mr. Collier, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman O'Daniel, and good morning, board members. It's an honor today to be here to recognize Mr. Lumpkin today on attaining 30 years of service within the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Bobby, as you know him, began his career in 1990 as a correctional officer at the Byrd Unit. He promoted through the correctional ranks at 8 different facilities, promoting to assistant warden in 1999. In 2003, Mr. Lumpkin was promoted to the Administrative Review and Risk Management Division as the Agency Accreditation Manager. In 2007, he was promoted to the Deputy Division Director for the Private Facility Contract Monitoring and Oversight Division. In 2013, Mr. Lumpkin was promoted to the Division Director for the Manufacturing, Agribusiness, and Logistics Division. And in August of this year, he was promoted to his new role as Director of the Correctional Institutions Division. Bobby has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in criminal justice leadership and management, both from Sam Houston State University. Bobby is a strong and focused leader who has a broad base of experience within this agency. In his new role as the Director of the Correctional Institutions Division, Bobby has already been on site at 55 facilities. So to say he hit the ground running is an understatement. Bobby is absolutely somebody that I count on daily to help lead this agency, and it is truly an honor to recognize him today on attaining 30 years of service. So please help me congratulate him on that.
Thank you, Mr. Collier, Chairman O'Daniel, members of the board. 30 years of service would have never been possible without Lord our Savior and the support of my family, members of the board, Mr. Collier, Mr. Mendoza, my peers and colleagues, and the thousands of employees with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. It's been an honor, and I look forward to my continued service to the agency and the state of Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lumpkin. I'd just like to say that whenever I've needed something, you've been right there and you've had it right at your fingertips. I very much appreciate that. So thank you. And also for your 30 years of service. Thank you, Mr. Collier, too, for your introduction and just your dedication to the agency. So let's move on to the next recognition. Ms. Warman, you have the next recognition. I understand you want to recognize your new Deputy General Counsel, Ms. Tina Hartman. Ms. Warman, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, board members and Mr. Collier. I would like to recognize Ms. Tina Hartman, who joined the TBCJ Office of General Counsel on October 26, 2020, as the Chief Deputy General Counsel. Ms. Hartman brings over 15 years of practicing in both civil and criminal law as an in-house attorney, as well as an assistant district attorney and assistant county attorney for Bexar County, Karnes County, and several other counties in South Texas. We welcome her presence in the Office of General Counsel. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Hartman to TDCJ.
Thank you, Ms. Warman, and congratulations, Ms. Hartman.
And thank you, Chairman O'Daniel, members of the board, and Executive Director Collier. I'm very excited for this opportunity to serve TDCJ, and I'd like to say that I'm very thankful for the warm welcome I've already received from everybody here at the TDCJ family. They've been very welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Next recognition, Ms. Clark, you have the next recognition, and with you today is your new Deputy Director, Dave Saffel.
Good morning, Chairman, board members, Mr. Collier. I'm pleased to introduce Dave Saffel as the new Deputy Division Director of the Information Technology Division. Mr. Saffel has more than 18 years of service with the TDCJ. He served in a management position in accounting and business services and has worked his way through the ranks of the Information Technology Division to include analyst, programmer, and programming manager. In 2017, he was promoted to the Director of Enterprise Applications, overseeing the daily planning and operations of the application development, network and server support, and business continuity. Mr. Saffel has a bachelor's degree from Sam Houston State University and a Master of Arts in Leadership from Luther Rice University. Mr. Saffel's interpersonal skills are invaluable, and his unique skills and experience enable him to maintain a positive outlook even when dealing with the most difficult situations, and will serve the agency well in this new capacity. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Saffel in his new role and offering your support as he assumes this key leadership position within the TDCJ.
Thank you, Ms. Clark, and congratulations on your promotion, Mr. Saffel. Mr. Yebra, you have the next recognition. I understand you want to recognize your new recruiting director, Mr. Benny Kinsey. Mr. Yebra, please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Collier. Benny Kinsey has been selected as the division's recruiting director for training in the Training and Leader Development Division. Benny brings a wealth of knowledge and recruiting experience to the agency, not only from the corporate sector, but also from his 25 years in the United States Army. Benny has spent most of his career serving our country, promoting to Command Sergeant Major, the highest rank of the non-commissioned officer corps. After leaving the Army, he transitioned into high volume talent acquisition positions for the oil and gas, manufacturing, and automotive industries. Each position he has held required him to recruit, retain, and purposefully lead employees to create successful organizations. He has managed up to 250 recruiters, 38 support staff in 38 locations across North America, Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. We are excited to have Benny on board and look forward to utilizing his professional strengths to further our mission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes.
board members, Mr. Collier, Mr. Mendoza, and of course, Mr. Yebra. Thank you for the opportunity to serve not only the great state of Texas, but also the Department of Criminal Justice. My family and I share a history with TBCJ, so it's great to be here. My family and I look forward to adding to the long list of contributions from this professional agency to the state of Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Kinsey, and congratulations on your position. Thank you also, Mr. Yebra, for your introduction. We look forward, Mr. Kinsey, to working with you. And once I can get down to Huntsville, I look forward to visiting with you. So we'll get to visit face to face, not just over Zoom next time. But thank you. The next recognition is Mr. Carter. I understand you want to recognize your new Deputy Director of Religious Services, Mr. Carlton Hazelwood. Mr. Carter, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman O'Daniel, Mr. Collier, board members. I would like to introduce Carlton Hazelwood as the new Deputy Director of Religious Services for the Rehabilitation Programs Division, effective October the 1st, 2020. Mr. Hazelwood began his career in TDCJ in 1983 as a correctional officer at the East Tam Unit. In January of 1984, he promoted to the Sergeant of Corrections. That same year, he promoted to Livestock Manager of Agricultural Headquarters. 2002, he promoted to Livestock Supervisor of the Packing Plants. In March of 2005, Director of Agriculture and Land and Minerals. September of 2009, he promoted to Director of Manufacturing and Logistics Division. After a brief retirement in 2014, he returned to the agency as a supervisor for the correctional leadership, and he was instrumental in developing the agency core values program. 2016, he transitioned over to a position in the Leadership Development Division as a correctional training supervisor. In October 1st, he promoted to the position he currently holds as the Deputy Director of Religious Services. He holds a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M. He has a master's degree from the Dallas Theological Seminary. He served his country in the United States Marine Corps as an officer. He has 35 years as a pastor. He's volunteered with TCJ since 1993. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Hazelwood in his new role. He's a dynamic leader. He's well respected amongst his peers in the agency, and he will serve this agency well in his new role. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, and congratulations, Mr. Hazelwood. Next, Mr. Hirsch, you have the next recognition. I understand you want to recognize your new Deputy Division Director, Mr. Bill Lewis. Mr. Hirsch, please proceed.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Collier. I would like to introduce to you Bill Lewis as the new Deputy Division Director for the Manufacturing, Agribusiness, and Logistics Division. Bill began his career in 1984 as a correctional officer at the Eastham unit, where he promoted through the security ranks to captain. Bill then promoted to Assistant Regional Director for Region 1, and again to Assistant Warden at the Huntsville unit. He was later promoted to Senior Warden and served in that capacity at 5 different units, including the most recent position as Senior Warden at the Huntsville unit. Bill brings over 36 years of agency experience with him to the Manufacturing, Agribusiness, and Logistics Division. His strong leadership and vast operational knowledge will serve the division well. Please join me in congratulating Bill on his newest promotion.
Mr. Chairman and board members and Mr. Collier, Mr. Mendoza, and Mr. Hirsch, I'm just thankful for this opportunity. I look forward to being a part of manufacturing, agribusiness, and logistics. I'm truly excited about this new endeavor. Thank you so much.
And thank you. I've always enjoyed working with you, Mr. Lewis, and I appreciate that. The next recognition will be the Employee Service Awards. The Texas Board of Criminal Justice recognizes TBCJ employees who have dedicated 25, 30, 35, and 40 years of service to the state of Texas. These individuals represent the strong commitment of this agency's staff system-wide. I, along with my fellow board members and Executive Director Brian Collier, express our deepest gratitude for their continued service. During the months of November and December 2020, 71 employees attained 25 years of service, 17 employees attained 30 years of service, 20 employees attained 35 years of service, and 5 employees attained 40 years of service. Today, I would like to individually recognize the employees that have attained 40 years for their dedication and service. First, I'll start with Officer Stephen M. Martin. After serving in the Armed Forces, Correctional Officer Stephen Martin began his career with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in 1980 at the Central Unit. He transferred to the Hilltop Unit in 1982, where he remained until he retired in 2002. While at the Hilltop Unit, he worked in many different areas, including building security, agriculture, and field force. After his retirement in 2002, he returned to work at the Hilltop Unit and transferred to the Mountain View Unit in 2013. Officer Martin is an excellent employee with a very positive attitude, has an eagerness to train new officers, and is an asset to this agency. Thank you for your service, Mr. Martin. Officer Frank Campos is next. He began his correctional officer career with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in February of 1978. He assisted in the opening of the McConnell Unit in 1992 and has worked in many areas, including field force, restrictive housing, and general population. In addition to the McConnell Unit, Officer Campos served at the Clements, Jester 3, and Neal units. He decided to retire in 2008, but returned to the agency within a few short months. Officer Campos is a valuable employee of the agency. His knowledge, experience, and supportive attitude has and continues to be a guide to assist his fellow officers. Thank you for your service, Mr. Campos. Next, Officer Annie Josie began her career with the University of Texas Medical Branch in the Patient Finance Department in 1980. In 1997, Officer Josie transitioned into corrections for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice as a correctional officer at the Clemens Unit in 1997. She later transferred to the Carroll Young Medical Facility and in 2008 was promoted to Sergeant of Correctional Officers. Officer Josie retired in 2016, but returned to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice 6 months later. She is described by her peers as a dedicated and dependable employee who strives to bring positivity to every situation and is always willing to assist with any task. When asked what advice she would give to up-and-coming correctional officers, Officer Josie stated, "Never forget where you came from and always find the good in every situation." Well said, Officer Josie, and thank you for your service. Parole Officer Gifford Small graduated from East Texas State University in Commerce, Texas in December 1979 with a degree in sociology and an emphasis on law enforcement. During the summer of 1980, he became a cadet with the Texas Department of Public Safety and retired as a state trooper in 2007. From 2008 to the present, he has been employed as a parole officer 2 at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Parole Division. Officer Small stated that since high school, he has always had a passion to serve the public and feels it is not only a passion, but a calling on his life to do so. He is thankful for the privilege of serving the state of Texas in this capacity. Officer Small has been married for 40 years. He has 3 children and 8 grandchildren. Gifford Small is a dedicated public servant and valuable asset to the parole division. Thank you for your service, Mr. Small. Officer Dale Henderson is truly a dedicated and hardworking individual that exemplifies the perseverance and mission of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Mr. Henderson began his career with TBCJ over 40 years ago in 1980 as a correctional officer at the Walls Huntsville unit. In 1984, he transitioned to the classification department at the Byrd unit as a psychological interviewer, where he worked until 2005. That same year, he was promoted to Program Specialist 1 for the Byrd Unit's Health Services Department and remained in that position until his retirement in 2007. Mr. Henderson recognized that he still had more to give and was not retired for long, returning to work for TDCJ in 2008. He began his second career with TDCJ at the Wynn Unit license plate plant as floor supervisor. In 2010, he promoted to an associate psychologist position at the Byrd Unit, where he remained until 2013 before transitioning into his current role as a case manager 3 for the corrective intervention pre-release program at the Estelle Unit for the Rehabilitation Programs Division. Mr. Henderson not only has 40 years of diligent work with the TDCJ, but has done so all the while maintaining a positive can-do attitude. Thank you for your service, Mr. Henderson. The next topic covers consent items. Are there any amendments, objections, or abstentions to the proposed consent items? Hearing none, the consent items posted for this meeting's agenda will stand approved. The next item on the agenda will be a report from the TDCJ Executive Director, Mr. Collier. If you would, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman O'Daniel. And again, thank you, board members. Today, I want to update you on 2 topics, but I want to start with our COVID-19 response. Just give you an update as it relates to our efforts, continued efforts as it relates to COVID-19. As I referenced to you in October, we have initiated a new testing strategy that involves each unit in the system being tested every 3 weeks based on a random sample of staff and inmates at those locations. Based on results of that sample testing, if we receive a 5% or higher yield of positive results, we go in and mass test the entire facility. We also have continued weekly testing at 5 locations with the highest concentration of geriatric inmates. These models, combined with our mass testing ability and our continuous symptomatic testing, have proven to be a good model to help us stay ahead of any potential outbreaks of the virus. We've also installed several hundred iWave devices that are placed in air conditioning ductwork, which provide ionized air as an added layer of protection against the virus. These devices are used in hospitals and other locations, and we have installed them through the facilities division at several of our facilities that do have air conditioning in those ventilation areas. Our stock of protective equipment and testing supplies has remained robust thanks to the support of the Texas Division of Emergency Management and we're all well supplied for the future. As we have observed in recent weeks, with the increased numbers of community cases in Texas, our number of positives have remained on an increase. The majority of our positive cases going back to the beginning, over 75% of our positive cases that have been identified remain asymptomatic, which helps to remind us of the danger of the virus. Our focus remains on prevention, mitigation, and protection as we continue to work through the pandemic. At all agency locations, we continue to screen employees, clean, disinfect, utilize masks for all staff and inmates, social distance, limit travel, and utilize all available resources to prevent the outbreak of COVID-19. Sadly, I tell you today that since our last board meeting, we have lost 6 staff members to COVID-19. Roderick Rogers, food service manager at the Eastham unit, Gerald Bettison, chaplain at the Neal unit, Michael Harper, a maintenance supervisor at the Skyview Hodge complex, Kenneth Russell, maintenance supervisor at the Smith unit, Timothy Beggs, correctional officer at the Galveston Hospital, and Harold Smith, a correctional officer at the Jordan unit. Each of these employees lost their battle with COVID-19. However, they will be remembered for their bravery and commitment to public safety and for the ultimate sacrifice they each paid. We continue to pray for their families and coworkers and still mourn all of these losses, and will honor them in our fallen officer service. We've also lost 15 inmates since our last board meeting due to complications from COVID-19. We offer our prayers to their families during this time. I'd like to publicly commend the employees of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The men and women in this agency have been heroes throughout this pandemic. Their daily sacrifice to our state has allowed our agency to meet its mission of delivering public safety. Their tenacity and hard work does not go unnoticed. Also wanted to update you, Chairman and Board, on correctional officer staffing. As you know, correctional officer staffing has remained a top priority within the agency, and despite aggressive recruiting and retention efforts, we have seen correctional officer vacancies grow to historically high levels. As I announced to you in October, on January 1st, we will transition correctional officer recruiting from our Human Resources Division to the Training and Leader Development Division. These divisions have been working closely with each other since October to help ensure that we have a smooth transition of our correctional officer recruiting staff. Additionally, as introduced earlier today, we have added a very well-qualified Director of Correctional Officer Recruiting to the recipe. In early discussions with Mr. Kinsey, it is evident to me he's a quick study with an aggressive long-range plan to help improve our recruiting and retention efforts. He'll absolutely receive our full support as he assembles his team and moves forward. On December 7th, we announced the formation of the Executive Director's Retention Task Force, which will consist of captains of correctional officers who, based on expressed interest, will be hand-selected to serve on the committee. The committee's focus will be on the retention of correctional officers and deploying effective strategies to improve the retention of our correctional officers. The position of a captain of correctional officers serves as a key level in our organizational structure to help identify strategies that can be effective on the front lines as well as at the organizational level that'll help address retention. I'm excited about these new developments, and I'm optimistic that the momentum on recruiting and retention will continue to increase throughout the agency in the next coming months. I, like you, will expect results from these initiatives, and as such, will be providing you continued updates on their progress. Lastly, in closing, Chairman and members, I would just want to say thank you to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our board, each and every one of you, for your unwavering support to us this past year. We have never as an agency been challenged as we have over the past 9 months, yet you have all been in step with us each part of the way throughout this entire event. And I just want to tell you thank you for that support. As we approach the Christmas season, I'd also like to wish each of you a Merry Christmas and all the employees of the agency a Merry Christmas. This year's been unique in that we all have to celebrate differently. The way we typically gather together has changed. The experience we've all endured this year has changed us forever, but the message that Christmas brings has not changed and gives us hope as we enter 2021. Please keep our staff and their families in your thoughts and prayers, and remember that as many of us enjoy times with our family and friends, this holiday season we will have thousands of our employees who are out doing their jobs to help keep Texans safe. With that, thank you and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. And I want to wish a Merry Christmas to everyone, you and the leadership, and also how much heartfelt, I appreciate the hard work you and your leaders have done during this pandemic. I can't imagine having a better team of people around us to see us through this current and ongoing crisis. And I just want to thank you, Mr. Collier, for all of your hard work. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I have one.
Sure.
This is Mono Diayala. Mr. Collier, your staff, your leadership, you make us proud. Thank you all for what you do, the tasks you undertake, the hardships that confront you unexpectedly, and how you handle them without blinking an eye, complaint. It's really impressive from where I sit to watch you all work, and how proud we are and the state of Texas is for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. As y'all all know, we have an extremely talented leadership team, and we have some just fine employees, men and women throughout this agency that do a phenomenal job. So I appreciate the support you give, and I appreciate y'all's comments, but it's the men and women of this agency that have pulled us through it every day, and they continue to. So just thank you for that support.
Again, thank you, Mr. Collier. The next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. And it is with a heavy heart that I am again paying tribute to those lost to this terrible virus. The men and women we will honor today played important roles behind the scenes, out of the public eye. They were truly selfless and cared deeply about their fellow man. One had a love for preparing food that transcended boundaries on and off the job. One provided spiritual guidance to those struggling to find their way. One had a passion for helping those with mental health needs. One was always first to raise his hand when help was needed. One began a new career in life because he wanted to make a difference. One was a devoted family man who brought humor to a tough job. One had a knack for making coworkers feel welcomed, even if it was their first day on the job. Each was unique. Each will leave a void that is hard to fill. I'd like to start first with Roderick Rogers. If there was anything that brought people together, at least in Mr. Rogers' eyes, it was food. He was involved in food preparation almost 24 hours a day, and he loved every minute of it. Roderick was the food services manager at the Eastham unit, but that wasn't the only time he was around food. It was his hobby, and more than anything else, he loved to barbecue. He always had a plate for anyone who stopped by whenever he was involved in community outings or fundraisers, and he genuinely took an interest in the people he served and their well-being. Super Bowl parties were one of the biggest events that he would host each year. The Pittsburgh Steelers were his favorite team, and if you stopped by his house, you were guaranteed food and some laughs. Caring and providing for his family was not a job for Roderick. It was an honor. He shared countless stories about his wife, his children, and his stepchildren. He called all of them the biggest blessing he had ever received. Religion was also a deep part of Roderick's life, and his dedication to God was reflected in his everyday acts as a Christian. Eastham Unit Warden Donald Muniz said he smiled about everything and was slow to get angry. He was humble and kind. It was an honor to be in his presence. Roderick Rogers, age 45, died from the coronavirus on November 11th, 2020. If you ever met Barry Deckard at the Hodge unit, then you remember his firm handshake. If you were able to withstand his fierce grip and return it in kind, then you would get a big smile from him. Barry was a mental health case manager for UTMB CMC in the Developmental Disabilities Program. He loved his job, his clients, and his coworkers. He was a faithful and devoted member of the Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Nacogdoches and loved gospel and country music. He coached his children's softball teams and became a father to the kids he coached. A big fan of NASCAR, he also enjoyed barbecuing, fishing, and the great outdoors. Barry was married for 30 years to his beloved wife, Kim, who with him, he had 3 daughters, Danielle, Casey, and Courtney, and an adopted son, Stephen. He will be most remembered for his kindness, generosity, and loyalty. Barry Deckard, age 52, died from the coronavirus on November 15th, 2020. There were several pastimes that Chaplain Jerry Bettison of the Neal Unit in Amarillo enjoyed, but without question, his favorite was taking a nap on Sunday afternoons in his recliner with his cat Tootsie by his side. You know, that's one of my favorites too, but not with Tootsie. Chaplain Bettison had over 7 years of service with the agency. A former gang member, he said the only reason he didn't end up in prison as an inmate was because he had discovered God. So he chose the prison ministry to help others. His hobbies were riding his motorcycle as a member of the Christian Motorcyclists Association or watching and collecting old movies. Fiddler on the Roof and The Ghost of Mrs. Muir were his favorites. Let me just tell you, The Ghost of Mrs. Muir is really a good movie. He was married to his wife, Judy, for 32 and a half years. They have 5 children, 12 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren whom he loves spending time with while sitting on the back porch sipping iced tea or coffee. He was highly respected among staff and inmates and has always been a huge asset to chaplaincy, said Rehabilitation Programs Division Director Christopher Carter. Chaplain Gerald Jerry Bettison, 78, died from the coronavirus on November 16th, 2020. A TBCJ employee who was proudly committed to serving the state of Texas and the agency is how maintenance supervisor Michael Harper was described by many of his fellow employees at the Skyview Hodge unit in Rusk. Michael had over 22 years of service to the agency, but he found time away to do the things he loved most, which was playing pool with his award-winning team and coaching his 4 sons' Little League and Summer League baseball teams. Michael was married to Joyce, and they were raising Brandon, Cody, Chase, and Cade. Facilities Division Director Cody Genzel noted that Michael will always be remembered as a guiding light for all who were fortunate to know him. Michael Harper, age 56, died from the coronavirus on December 1st, 2020. Some folks made the most of life, and that was the case with Kenneth Russell, who was a maintenance supervisor at the Smith unit in La Mesa. He began working for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice 10 years ago at the age of 74. Kenneth was a phenomenal role model for the staff at the Smith unit because he loved going to work and making a difference every day, said Cody Genzel, Facilities Division Director for the agency. Kenneth often outperformed other employees half his age because he was a go-getter. He was well liked by all the staff and inmates alike at the Smith unit. Kenneth's favorite hobby or pastime was playing pool, and many of the folks around La Mesa knew he was quite a pool shark. But most of all, he enjoyed spending time with his wife of 50 years, Patricia, who he met in California. They have 6 children: Jeff, Carrie, Stephen, John, Sandy, and Alan. Kenneth Russell, age 84, died from the coronavirus on December 2nd, 2020. Correctional officer Timothy Beggs kept his co-workers laughing and smiling with his great sense of humor. It was what endeared him to so many at Hospital Galveston, where he was assigned. Beggs worked for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for the last 12 and a half years. He was assigned to the Scott Unit in Angleton, then to the Carol S. Young Medical Facility in Dickinson, and finally to Special Services at Hospital Galveston. Warden Cynthia Moore at Hospital Galveston described Beggs as dedicated, friendly to his co-workers, and a team player. She added that no task was too hard for him, and he was always willing to help. When he was not on duty, Beggs was a family-oriented man who loved spending time with his wife, children, and grandchildren. He was married to Angela for the last 14 years, and between them, they have 4 children and 2 grandchildren. Officer Timothy Beggs, age 61, died from the coronavirus on December 9th, 2020. A great conversationalist is how Correctional Officer Harold Smith is described by his colleagues and friends at the Jordan Unit. Harold served with the agency for 5.5 years, but he did so after retirement age. Before coming to TDCJ, he worked for the Texas Department of Transportation as an inspector. He was always moving, just like the railroads that he loved to read about. He was also someone who took an interest in the lives of others, serving as the scoutmaster of Troop 501 in the town of Panhandle in Carson County. I guess you'll never guess where that town was located. But his 4 children and 7 grandchildren were what made him the happiest. He did not just serve Texas, he served close to home, said CID Director Bobby Lumpkin. Officer Smith will not be forgotten. Officer Harold Smith, age 77, died from the coronavirus on December 15th, 2020. We ask that you keep their families and co-workers in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. Working with our inmate population comes with risks. This is true in normal times, but certainly during a pandemic. Also, let us continue to remember the families of the inmates who have suffered and died as a result of this pandemic. For as noted in Acts 17:28, we are all God's children. I would like to spend the next few minutes talking about a remarkable group of individuals. These are everyday heroes who raised their hands, answered the call, and headed towards danger, not away from it. The brave men and women on our COVID-19 strike teams. In early May, as the virus began to get a foothold in Texas, the state was busy amassing large amounts of personal protection equipment and acquiring thousands of tests to battle the virus. Mr. Collier and state leaders were in frequent contact during this time about new ways to identify and stem the spread of COVID in correctional facilities. Through these discussions, TDCJ was chosen to be one of the first in the Lone Star State to receive a new self-administered saliva-based test. It was attractive because it did not require a swab deep into the nasal cavity. Individuals only needed to cough and then swab the inside of their mouth. Others, such as the Department of Defense and the City of Los Angeles, purchased the new tests, but it had never been deployed inside a correctional setting. So on Mother's Day weekend, Mr. Collier assembled his leadership team and gave them a mission: as quickly and as safely as possible, test the system. An undertaking something this large would require assistance from individuals across divisions. By Monday morning, dozens of men and women had been identified, trained, and were preparing to fan out across the state. Armed with a laptop, scanner, and in full PPE, they systematically went to facilities to test both the staff and inmates. In just over a month, they had already tested 120,000 individuals. This amazing effort early on allowed TDCJ to separate those that did not know they had the virus and to help slow the spread in the system. It was not just within prison walls that our strike teams played a role. They assisted and trained staff at 32 different local and county jails and 4 TJJD facilities across Texas. These teams have not let up since May. The agency is conducting routine weekly testing at 5 facilities. Facilities are being taught by the strike teams on how to conduct random sampling testing across the state. These teams are still going out and mass testing specific facilities. In all, more than 130 employees from 10 different divisions have selflessly served as a member of the COVID-19 strike teams. The full extent of their efforts and the impact on both inmates and staff may never be known. As chairman, I want to extend the board's gratitude and appreciation for your work. We are so proud of each and every one of you. You are the best of what makes TDCJ the best agency. Each strike team member will receive a framed certificate signed by Mr. Collier and myself, and I am humbled to do so. Please join me in a round of applause for this remarkable group of individuals. And thank you again. The next item on the agenda is a report from the presiding officer for the Judicial Advisory Council, Judge Rose Guerra Reina. Thank you for joining us today. You may proceed.
Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman O'Daniel, Mr. Collier, my name is Rose Guerra. I am the chair of the Texas Judicial Advisory Council. Because of scheduling conflicts, our report was presented in August and October of this past year by our vice chair, Judge Becky Palomo from Webb County, Laredo. It is my honor and privilege to be with you this morning. In keeping with our statutory directive to advise this board with matters of interest to the judiciary, specifically relating to matters affecting the administration of community supervision and correction departments, I bring you this report. At our last meeting, Judge Palomo shared with you one of our general goals at this time, preparing for the legislative session. In so preparing, one of our priorities is to provide resource information to legislators, their staff, stakeholders, and advocacy groups. In so doing, we realized that many of those interested persons had no earthly idea about what we as judges do, the challenge in our daily world to make decisions that will rehabilitate, or in some cases, habilitate probationers while still protecting the community. So last week, we had our first Judicial Advisory Council webinar. It was a 3-hour program with commentary and prepared remarks by district court judges from across the state of Texas, large counties and small counties, from rural and urban counties, specialty court judges, judges of general jurisdiction, and some courts that have only criminal jurisdiction, judges that hear cases in only one county, and judges that ride a circuit and travel to other counties to hear cases in multiple counties. Yes, that still happens in Texas. In a state as vast and diverse as Texas, with 254 counties, there are 123 adult probation departments. There are challenges that they all share, and there are some challenges are unique to the particular department because of their size and location. The judges who presented on our webinar were from across the state, from North Texas, from Harris County, Midland County, Brazoria, Kerr, and Bandera, and a few from the Judicial Advisory Council. The 3 goals of the webinar were: 1, to educate the audience about the goals and purpose of adult probation; 2, to explain the daily processes involved in adult probation in Texas; and 3, to explain the issues and challenges facing community supervision in Texas and what we as district court judges in the trenches making those decisions face on a daily basis. In the messages, there were commonality. 1, there is a consistent, unanimous statewide goal that remains: to rehabilitate or habilitate a probationer while still providing a safe community. 2, in order to accomplish this primary goal, resources are needed to provide the required services that are based on research-validated risk and needs assessments. These resources allocated to probation departments are an investment in individuals and accordingly exponentially positively impact our communities by touching the lives of not only the probationers, but also their families and persons involved with them and within our own community. And last of all, the cost basis analysis, which is so obvious: probation at the rate of $2 a day, or incarceration at the cost of $60 a day. As a Judicial Advisory Council, we will continue to work diligently, collaborating with those that we need to collaborate with in order to make the adult probation system the best probation system possible and to maintain the resources. This next session, there's a lot of issues pertaining to the budget deficits. It's going to be a challenge. As the legislative session begins, we have another goal: to collaborate with the stakeholders to ensure that there are no legislative mandates that have unexpected results or are basically funding that is passed as an unfunded mandate. We see that much too often. In closing, I'd like to just remind you about a couple of numbers to emphasize how important adult probation is. Just last month, there were approximately 374,000 pending felonies. TDCJ has approximately anywhere from 8,000 to 17,000 open beds, and that includes some of those that are idled. That leaves 350,000 felonies to go somewhere, and to still maintain the safety of the community. These individuals are able to be rehabilitated with appropriate services. So in closing, thank you very much for the opportunity to update you regarding what the Judicial Advisory Council is up to. If any member of this board is interested in any more detailed information or to become more familiar with what we as judges in the trenches facing issues on a daily basis, please do not hesitate to contact myself or any of the JAC members. I also would like to take an opportunity to thank and wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. Chair O'Daniel, Mr. Collier, board members, member of the public, and each of your own offices and staff. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, stay safe, and may God bless each and every one of you and all of your loved ones. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Judge Rania, and a Merry Christmas to you, and God bless you too.
Thank
And
you,
all
Chairman.
the hard work you do on the committee. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. And if you or any board members have any questions at this time, I'd be happy to entertain them. If not, thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you again, Judge Rania. I look forward to having you back for another update for the board meetings.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the internal audit status report for fiscal years 2020, 2021. Internal Audit Division Director Chris Cerrito will be presenting. Thank you for joining us today. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Collier, and members. I have 3 updates to the status report in your packet. The first update is on page 2. Project 2016-08 is now complete. On page 3, project 2114-01 is also now complete. And then also on page 3, project 2115 is an addition to the annual audit plan approved at the August board meeting. And in accordance with procedures established during that board meeting, the board was notified in writing on November 18th of the addition of that audit. And I would also like to report that the status of that audit has changed to field work. With that, I will pause for any questions.
Thank you for the report and updates, Mr. Cerrito. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, thank you again, and a Merry Christmas to you. And let's move on.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding purchases and contracts over $1 million. Chief Financial Officer Ron Steffa will be presenting today. Mr. Steffa, thank you for joining us. You may proceed.
Thank you, and good morning, Chairman O'Daniel, board members, Mr. Collier. I will be presenting one purchase for your consideration this morning, and it can be found on page 7 behind tab G of your packet. It is a replacement contract for the photo and ID card system. The system produces inmate mugshots and ID cards for both inmates and employees. If approved, it would be awarded to Intrust Data Card Corporation for $2.5 million and cover fiscal years 21 through 24. And I will pause for any questions.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, Mr. Steffa, the ID card, how does it look like? Is it like a driver license size, or what does it have there?
Yes, sir. It does look like a driver's license. It has the picture and also the magnetic strip that is utilized. Very much like a driver's license.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? If not, do I have a motion? Mono, I'm thinking I might have a motion.
I forgot that I was muted. My apologies. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve the purchases and contracts over $1 million as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Mr. Nichols. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The next agenda item is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the annual review of board policy BP 14.01 investment policy and resolution adopting the investment policy. Mr. Steffa, please continue.
Thank you. For your consideration, the investment policy BP 1401 and the resolution adopting the investment policy can be found behind tab H of your packet. The Texas Public Funds Investment Act requires the governing body of an investing entity to adopt a written investment policy and annually adopt a resolution stating that the policy was reviewed. The investment policy and attached investment strategy statement was reviewed and only minor non-substantive changes were made. Also, as required by the Public Funds Investment Act, I attended the investment officer training in June of this year. And I will pause for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Steffa. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve the annual review of board policy BP-1401, investment policy, and resolution adopting the investment policy as presented, and that the chairman sign the resolution adopting the investment policy.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that? Oh, Dr. Burrow, yes. A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Dr. Burrow. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. And Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Steffa.
Thank you, and same to you.
The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code, Section 154.1-12, Prison Industries Enhancement PI Programs. TDCJ General Counsel, Ms. Kristen Warman, will be presenting. Welcome, Ms. Warman, and please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Daniel. Good morning, and board members. Before you in your packet behind tab I are the proposed amendments to these rules. The proposed amendments include minor word changes, clarifications, and organizational changes. These amendments have been reviewed by legal counsel and have found to be within the board's authority to adopt. I present them for your consideration and pause for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Warman. Are there any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve for publication in the Texas Register the proposed amendments to Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code, Section 154.1-.12, Prison Industries Enhancement Programs to receive public comment as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
That Judge Francis?
No, that was me.
Oh, that was Miss Perryman. It's hard on this Zoom where I can't see everybody. A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Miss Perryman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next agenda item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposed revisions to Personnel Directive PD-13, sexual harassment and discourteous conduct of sexual nature. Ms. Warman, you may continue.
Yes, Mr. Chair and board members, before you, behind tab J in your packet, are proposed revisions to PD-13. The proposed revisions present revised definitions of discourteous conduct of a sexual nature, other individual, pre-service training academy, and retaliation. In addition, the procedure has been revised in section 1B3. There is revised language for the responsibilities of a supervisor, warden, or department head on reporting allegations. Section 2E also includes added language that it is mandatory to view the EEO disciplinary compliance training video within 7 days of the disciplinary hearing if the respondent is found guilty of an EEO rule violation. In attachment A, revised form to include the complainant's email address, and the form was also revised to replace social security number with payee ID number. Additionally, grammatical and formatting updates were made. This directive is before you for consideration, and I pause for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice approve the revisions to Personnel Directive PD-13, sexual harassment and discourteous conduct of sexual nature as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that you again, Darrell Lynn?
No, that was Judge Francis.
That was Judge Francis.
Judge Francis.
You know, if this was a report, if this was a test, I'd be failing.
That's okay.
A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Judge Francis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next agenda item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding readoption of Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code Section 151.75, Standards of Conduct for Financial Advisors and Service Providers. Ms. Warman, please proceed.
Mr. Chair and board members, behind tab K in your packet is the proposed readoption of this rule. This rule was reviewed under Texas Government Code 2001.039, which requires rules to be reviewed every 4 years. There were no comments received regarding the rule review, and it is before you for readoption. And I pause for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Texas Board of Criminal Justice readopt Board Rule Title 37, Texas Administrative Code Section 151.75, Standards of Conduct for Financial Advisors and Service Providers as published in the Texas Register, and that the chairman sign the order in this effect.
A motion is, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Mr. De Ayala. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. And Merry Christmas, Ms. Warman. The next agenda item is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposed land transaction request to renew pipeline easements at the Stiles Unit in Jefferson County, Beaumont, Texas. Due to issues with neighboring easements, the vendor, Sunoco, has requested the easement be passed for consideration and be reconsidered at a future board meeting. With that being said, the board will pass on this item today and reconsider it at a later date. I would like to thank all of you for coming here today and remind you that the next meeting of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice will be Friday, February 19th, 2021 via video conference. And I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. There being no further business, the 214th meeting of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice is now adjourned. It is 10:54. The 321st meeting of the Wyndham School District Board of Trustees is called to order in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the Open Meetings Act. During this meeting, the board will be conducting business from the agenda posted in the Texas Register. Members of the board present for this meeting are Vice Chairman Darrell Lynn Perryman, members Mano de Ayala, Judge Molly Francis, Judge Faith Johnson, Ambassador Sishan Siv, Eric Nichols, and Dr. Rodney Burrow. A quorum is present and the 321st meeting of the board is declared open. It is 11:02. Before we begin, Dr. Burrow will lead us with a word of prayer.
Almighty Father, I ask that you bless our country and state during these times. Thank you for all the staff and students of the Wyndham School District. We pray that the students will enjoy and learn much from their studies over the course of this next year. Please keep the students and faculty safe during these times, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Burrow. As a courtesy to speakers and guests in the meeting, please turn electronic devices to the silent or vibrate mode. Thank you. I know this is a virtual meeting and many are watching, but I would like to take a moment and say thank you to any public officials and/or staff representatives with us today. Thank you for joining and for your support. Let us begin. The Wyndham School District Board of Trustees is committed to providing an opportunity for public presentations on posted agenda topics, as well as for public comments on issues within its jurisdiction as provided in Board Rule 300.1. Persons interested in speaking at today's meeting were required to complete and submit a registration form provided in the posting of today's meeting by 5 p.m. on December 15th, 2020. For today's meeting, no speaker registration cards were received by board staff prior to the required deadline. Therefore, no public comments will be heard on posted agenda topics today, and no public comments will be heard on issues within its jurisdiction. Let us now turn to recognitions. Wyndham's Department Director of Instruction, Mr. Kevin Salnick, has the first recognition, Mr. Richard Drew. Mr. Salnick, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. I would like to introduce Richard Drew Jr., who is the Recreation and Wellness Administrator for our district. He brings over 7 years experience in the recreation and wellness field, where he began his career as a certified personal trainer and later became a certified exercise physiologist. Richard joined our district in October of last year as the auditor of the Recreation and Wellness Program. During that time, he worked quickly to learn and understand not only the policies that drive the program, but also the many aspects of our district. Although he has been with the district for a short time, it has been obvious his thirst for knowledge and care for others is a driving force behind always providing the best service to our staff and resident population. Richard is a graduate of Stephen F. Austin State University, where he completed both his bachelor's and master's degree of science in exercise physiology. He has an extensive working knowledge of the most common recreation and wellness practices and challenges himself and his team to think outside of the box and innovate when possible to best serve our students. In the short time I have known Richard, I have learned he is selfless, caring, and always willing to help in any way that he can. He and his team have already led the charge in challenging our staff to become more physically active with a second place finish for Windham School District amongst other state agencies in the Get Fit Texas Challenge. Also, while enduring the COVID-19 pandemic, Recreation and Wellness challenged Windham School District and TDCJ and even all of you, the TBCJ board members, to walk across Texas while maintaining social distancing efforts, while continuing to deliver distance learning to our students. Because of those efforts in such a short and difficult time, it is my belief that the Recreation and Wellness program has a bright future in helping our staff and residents live a healthier life with the direction and oversight of Richard. Please join me in welcoming Richard Drew in this new role as a member of the Windham School District leadership team.
So Mr. Drew is the one responsible for making me having to do all that walking on Walk Across Texas. But in any event, thank you very much, Mr. Solnick, and congratulations to you, Mr. Drew. And you keep making me walk too. I appreciate it. Mr. Solnick, please continue with your next recognition of Mr. Jerry Brown.
Thank you, sir. Jerry Brown, the Transition Services Specialist for Equity and Inclusion, comes to the Windham School District with over 11 years of experience in education policy development and program implementation. Jerry received his bachelor's in political science in 2008 from Florida A&M University, and afterwards completed an internship with the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. Jerry returned to Florida to pursue a master's degree in education policy and program evaluation at Florida State University, and began working with the Florida Department of Education as a program specialist with the Bureau of Exceptional Education and Student Services. During his tenure at the Florida Department of Education, he monitored districts throughout the state and provided technical assistance to stakeholders and investigated state complaints. Jerry then accepted a position with the Florida Department of Corrections as a special education administrator, where he worked to lead several initiatives, including an art therapy program, a comprehensive post-secondary education transition program, and updated the department's special education practices and operational procedures. In the 3+ years I have known Jerry, he has been a strong proponent of access to education in an incarcerated setting for students with and without special needs. His experience in corrections and special education will support Windham School District in its efforts to provide diversity, equity, and inclusion within our district. Specifically, he will focus on access to education for individuals in restrictive housing, family literacy, and community partnerships. Please join me in welcoming Jerry Brown in his new role as a member of the Windham School District team.
Thank you, Mr. Solnick, and congratulations, Mr. Brown. I'm looking forward to hearing about the efforts you're able to make in this position. Thank you very much. Windham's Director of Instruction, John Lilly, has the next recognition. Ms. Sumer Shropshire.
Good morning, Chairman, WSD Board, and Superintendent Hartman. Summer Shropshire is WSD's vocational specialist for women's program and has worked in education for 19 years, 11 of those years with the Windham School District. During the course of her tenure with Windham, she has had the opportunity to serve in several different capacities. Her first position with the district was as an academic teacher, and since then she has had the honor of serving as a life skills teacher, a lead teacher, a principal, a regional academic specialist, and is proud to hold her current new position as the vocational specialist for women's programs. Summer has a passion for helping incarcerated women obtain the education and training necessary to make a seamless transition back to their families, communities, and the workforce. She sits on the TBCJ Female Policy Advisory Committee as the WSD representative, and has also had the pleasure of working with several women's volunteer programs. Summer produces informational and promotional literature and also assists with the planning and implementation of both procedures and programming that are designed to promote opportunities for women. She is additionally tasked with helping to assure equitability and standardization for all WSD female programs, and works in collaboration with the Wyndham's Workforce Division to promote and encourage job placement for students upon their reentry. Summer is proud to work for the WSD because it's her firm belief that education, training, and motivation are the keys to rehabilitation and sustained freedom for our students and future neighbors. Summer has a bachelor's in communications and a master's in educational administration from Tarleton State University. Please join me in welcoming Summer to her new role for Wyndham School District.
Thank you, Mr. Lilly, and congratulations, Ms. Summer Shropshire. Mr. Lilly, please continue with your next recognition of Ms. Danielle Nichols.
Danielle Nichols received her Bachelor's of Science in Human Sciences from the Texas Tech University in 2017. She then graduated summa cum laude from West Texas A&M with her Master's of Education in School Counseling in 2020. Danielle's career in an educational setting began teaching first and third grade in public schools, where she was recognized as Rookie Teacher of the Year. Prior to teaching, Danielle has an extensive experience performing administrative tasks. Danielle then transitioned into adult education at WSD in June of 2020 as our executive assistant to Ms. Hartman, providing administrative support and assistance. She has been instrumental in maintaining communication with the district throughout COVID-19, to include weekly emails regarding district survey, suggestions, and actions taken. In addition, Danielle took the lead on our family literacy program, planning and preparation until the transitional specialist position was filled. She consistently gets tasks completed before being asked and has done an excellent job in her new role. Please join me in welcoming Danielle Nichols to the Wyndham School District.
Thank you, Mr. Lilly, and congratulations, Ms. Nichols. The next item on the agenda topic covers consent items. Are there any amendments, objections, or abstentions to the proposed consent items? Hearing none, the consent items posted for this meeting's agenda will stand approved. The next item on the agenda is the report from the Superintendent of the Wyndham School District, Ms. Christina Hartman, who will be providing a report on partnership and collaboration updates. Ms. Hartman, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman and members. Preparing WSD students for success during and following incarceration is a multi-step process that requires partnership and collaboration with various agencies, businesses, volunteers, and employees. Each partner's area of expertise aligns with student needs. Today, I'll provide the board with an update regarding a couple of active partnerships that support WSD students and staff. Most recently, WSD began collaborating to support the addition of volunteer employment coaches to work with women following incarceration. This partnership was a result of a virtual meeting with the Texas Association of Business Criminal Justice Reform Committee that led to one of the members connecting Wyndham with the program partner. The purpose of the Employment Coaching Initiative is to provide support to women reentering Texas communities from incarceration. The initial program will help 10 women develop the skills to build new relationships and improve existing relationships in the realm of employment. Topics will include individualized discussions on employment retention and advancement, and provide guidance for questions that arise in the workplace. The coaching program will consist of 10 one-hour sessions over 3 months that will be delivered by phone or video call, and will be structured to allow space for the client and the coach to develop a professional relationship and to meet the individual employment coaching needs of each client. The clients will discover their own unique strengths and qualities and strategically create a path that is specific to them. Students nearing release will apply for the opportunity to be coached. They will qualify by committing to the length of the program and completing a self-assessment before the session and after the last session. The assessments will be maintained by WSD. Each participant will be interviewed by the lead volunteer, who is the president and founder of a company that is focused on culture, leadership, and talent to appropriately pair each woman with the right coach. Upon completion of the program, the women will be asked to rate their coach in the following areas: creating a supportive environment, building trust, listening, and understanding. The responses to this questionnaire will be kept confidential. The Volunteer Employment Coaching Program is scheduled to begin in January with volunteer training. All volunteer coaches have completed background checks and are either certified or in the process of becoming certified in employment coaching. The coaches will be trained to understand the specific challenges women leaving incarceration face as they reenter the community. The next partnership update is an exciting collaboration related to addressing occupational licensing, employment barriers, and innovative solutions for individuals that have completed career and technical education training for regulated programs during incarceration. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, Texas Workforce Commission, and the Windham School District have been meeting intermittently for several months to solidify a memorandum of understanding that defines the role of each partner, to include the provision of training, meaningful work assignments to support skill building, assistance with the completion of occupational licensing applications, reentry efforts. In addition, data related to the award of licenses and securing and remaining employment in the field in which training was received during incarceration will be tracked. The team members have had engaging and relevant discussions regarding process improvements to support post-release employment for individuals who are rejoining the Texas workforce. The Memorandum of Understanding was officially executed on December 10th, 2020 at a virtual event hosted by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The next meeting of designees will be held on January 6, 2021, when partners will move forward with the action items listed in the agreement. The examples provided today are representative of the partnerships in which Windham engages to set our students up for success during and following incarceration. By creating collaborative partnerships, Windham strives to make educational advances and productive developments within the district. With that being said, I would like to wish all of you a very happy holiday season and thank you so much for your continued support of all the employees of our district. We very much appreciate you. That concludes
Thank
my
you.
report.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, just a quick comment. We just like to underscore the work that Superintendent Hartman and her staff have done in promoting and expanding these reentry and reintegration programs for the offender community across the board, which, as we all know, are vitally important. So for the work on those programs and everything else that Windham does, I just want to express appreciation on behalf of the board.
Oh, thank you for that comment, Mr. Nichols. I agree wholeheartedly. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to recognize the efforts of Windham in addressing the changing needs related to the coronavirus. The teachers and staff have really stepped up and come up with some creative and innovative ways to do things. And we just really appreciate your efforts as well.
And thank you, Ms. Perryman. If nothing else, I want to wish you, Ms. Hartman, a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your staff. And thank you very much for that report.
Thank you all so much.
The next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. And unfortunately, this is just as with the TBCJ report, we have to start off with some profound losses for the Windham family. The Windham School District Board of Trustees offers its condolences for the loss of correctional educator Frank Rose, a 27-year veteran of the Wyndham School District who taught at the Robertson Unit in Abilene and helped open the campus in 1992. Mr. Rose was a respected and passionate teacher for Wyndham School District's pre-release program, Changes. He passed away unexpectedly in early November as a result of complications associated with COVID-19. Mr. Rose was an avid sport enthusiast, including boxing and baseball. He also enjoyed building model airplanes and watching The Crocodile Hunter, which I had to be told by my board manager what that was. He even made a special stick to use to catch snakes in the country. Mr. Rose had a passion for history and always made sure to keep up with the latest news updates. He also loved to challenge himself with a few rounds of trivia. Our hearts are with Mr. Rose's family, friends, co-workers, students, and graduates, all of whom were impacted by his gift to effect positive change, especially in the classroom. He continually communicated the success stories of these former students to his current classes, inspiring them to meet the challenges of reentry. Mr. Rose was an authentic fighter for second chances. His ability to connect with students and challenge them towards change was unparalleled, said a longtime Wyndham colleague and friend. The impact of that wisdom and his legacy have shaped many, many generations of our students. They say a teacher lives on through his students, but in Mr. Rose's case, it means that our students get to really live. Mr. Rose is survived by his sister, daughter, nephew, nieces, grandson, and great nieces. The board would also like to offer our condolences in the loss of vocational teacher Clemente Rocha. Mr. Rocha dedicated 25 years of hard work to Wyndham School District. He was an inspirational leader teaching computer-aided drafting at the Dominguez State Jail. Mr. Rocha passed away in mid-November from COVID-19 complications. Mr. Rocha had many hobbies, including hitting golf balls, music, and grilling barbecue. It was stated that Mr. Rocha's steaks and ribs were second to none, and I'm sorry I never got to try them. Family was number one also for Mr. Rocha, and he always valued the special moments they spent together. He enjoyed hands-on activities such as building plastic models and RC planes. In 2008-09, he received Wyndham School District's Lane Murray Excellence in Teaching Award. This award was a reflection of his dedication to his students and devotion to his career. Mr. Rocha once said, "I want my students to feel the empowerment that goes along with hard work and dedication. I want them to go forward and share with their loved ones the possibilities of success in education and in life, and break the cycle of life in prison. I know that if I can reach out and help one, that one will reach out and help many. I believe one person can make a difference. I want to be that person." Mr. Rocha is survived by his wife, 2 daughters, brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, and many wonderful friends. Mr. Rocha's passion, energetic personality, and perseverance is only part of the reason why the Wyndham School District staff speaks so highly of him. He was an inspiration to our students and staff and will be truly missed. Wyndham School District is thankful to have dedicated staff members such as Mr. Rose and Mr. Rocha. It is their passion and commitment that helps the district provide successful educational opportunities for students, such as the event I will now describe in my chairman's report. This is the non-traditional day of learning. Windham School District students recently participated in the second annual non-traditional day of learning. Windham School District teachers engage students in curriculum enhancement activities across all campuses in an effort to increase participation for current students and inspire new enrollees to attend Windham programming. The results included socially distanced, masked learning, and fun. Activities this year included the Cofield Unit campus sponsoring a Pop into Education Day. Students used popcorn to compare weights, measurements, and probabilities. At the Fort Stockton unit, the cognitive intervention class created a radio talk show. The talk show host used a microphone and stepped into his role by introducing a panel of experts. Students were doctors who were experts in their field. The host would call upon the experts to explain to the radio audience such topics as thinking errors, the criminal addictive cycle, self-control model, thinking reports, stress and anger management, goal setting, problem solving, and the relapse prevention plan. Spectators reported that it was amazing to watch and listen to the students in their professional roles. At the Woodman unit, students spent the day learning about the history of the circus and working magic science experiments. At the Estelle unit, the education department entitled their non-traditional day of learning, Tackle It. The halls were decorated with various sports-related decor. Teachers dressed in sports jerseys and jeans. Their students rotated throughout the building, participating in various games such as The Price is Right, football trivia, trash can basketball, football Jeopardy, team building Puzzle Mania, and others, while another classroom tackled the importance of computer skills upon re-entry into Texas communities. The students were actively engaged in a day of content-specific games. At the Hightower unit, the students designed and built a miniature putt-putt golf course. And boy, that is quite elaborate too. The All Red unit students researched the accomplishments of Americans from diverse backgrounds. Students created paper boxes that were hung 7 feet apart down both sides of the educational hallway. The names and a brief description of the accomplishments were written on the box. Students created a colorful chain that connected all the boxes as a demonstration of unity. Students also made posters to celebrate diversity, and those posters were hung in the classrooms and hallway to display their teamwork. Windham's curriculum enhancement activities were a success with both staff and students. The day was designed to maximize student recruitment, attendance, and motivation to succeed. Feedback received prompted additional discussion and reflection on instructional strategies and outcomes in support of student engagement and success. Windham looks forward to the creative, engaging activities to come at the next non-traditional day of learning. And now let's turn to the next item on the agenda, which is a board presentation on workforce and apprenticeship. Workforce Administrator Charlene Moriarty will be presenting today. Ms. Moriarty, you may proceed.
Good morning, Chairman and members. I am Charlene Moriarty, Workforce Administrator for WSD. The Workforce Department has partnered with and is constantly seeking various trade-specific employers to provide them information on the robust career and technical education training programs within the district. In speaking with the companies, we seek feedback to better align our programs with their needs for the working industry. The Workforce Department has implemented the Employment Advisory Committee, which consists of employers from construction, welding, electrical, grocery, and hospitality industries. The meetings will be held on a quarterly basis. The committee will discuss employment trends, training needs, program evaluation, and current and anticipated technology in the industries. WSD has been utilizing a standard paper application for employment referrals. This application helps the residents to prepare for rejoining the workforce and gathering their previous community and TBCJ related employment experiences. WSD has created an electronic application that will be completed on laptops with our students while in their training program. After completing the application, it will be uploaded by WSD Information Technology Department for easy access. WSD continued to collaborate with the Division of Reentry and Immigration as well. This is a list of the current apprenticeship programs that are located within Windham School District and Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Windham and TBCJ have been approved and meet standards approved by the U.S. Department of Labor since 1977. Apprenticeship programs are designed to prepare individuals for occupations in skilled trades and crafts. Apprenticeships offer a combination of rigorous and relevant on-the-job learning skills with related technical instruction, RTI, in the occupation. Upon completion of the apprenticeship program, the student is awarded a nationally recognized certificate of completion of apprenticeship. The apprenticeship programs are between 2,000 and 8,000 hours. There are two models that we use in the apprenticeship program, front-loaded and classroom models. The front-loaded model, the student has completed a WSD or college trade with related training instruction and need to complete their on-the-job learning hours with TBCJ. The classroom model consists of the student having a craft instructor that is certified by WSD to teach the program. This instructor will teach the student while completing their OJL hours. The students are entered into the Registered Apprenticeship Partners Information Management Data System, known as RAPIDS, and the resident completes monthly progress records to track their training. The students that have completed a WSD program have their RTI entered into the database as a third-party industry recognized certification. We strive for our students to obtain this recognition. This is a list of potential areas of where we will be increasing the apprenticeship program. November the 8th through the 14th, 2020, we recognized our apprenticeship programs for National Apprenticeship Week. We asked the ECHO to recognize these students for their hard work and commitment to the program. This apprenticeship student, Ms. Kimberly Walker, completed the WSD electrical program. After completing the class, she was a teacher aide helper and then was able to move into an electrician maintenance job assigned at the unit level. We enrolled her into the apprenticeship program. This resident was released before completing. We completed her paperwork with her updated hours and helped her to gain employment with FSG located in San Antonio, Texas. She is currently employed in their apprenticeship program and succeeding in working the hours needed to gain her certificate in the apprenticeship field. This is a full circle. Ms. Walker trained with WSD, enrolled in an apprenticeship, helped her gain employment to continue her education. She is set on the path to complete the apprenticeship program in the electrical field. During her time with WSD, we assisted Ms. Walker with completing her criminal history evaluation letter with Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation and received a determination letter. Once released, she applied and received her apprentice license and is now working in the electrical field. Through the partnership and efforts of WSD, TBCJ, and the U.S. Department of Labor, students who come to us with limited or no work skills, become employees who are talented, confident, successful, and able to provide for themselves and their families. A quote from Ms. Walker: "I had no skills, no trade, nothing to depend on for a job once I was released from prison. Getting into the electrical class was by far the best decision of my life. The apprenticeship program has given me the chance of a lifetime, a career, and the promise of a better life than I had thought I would ever have. For the first time in my life, I had something to be proud of. It has been my pleasure to have presented to you today. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to discuss with you the procedures we have with WSD and TBCJ.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? I mean, it's a wonderful program. Thank you very much, Ms. Moriarty.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Grant Tutoring Program Board Presentation. Division Director of Instruction, John Lilly, will be presenting. Mr. Lilly, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. On September 30th, 2020, the Office of the Governor awarded the Windham School District $1.5 million from the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Grant, otherwise known as GEAR. These funds are being used to minimize the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic that has resulted in transitioning to a socially distanced and hybrid instructional model. WSD is using the GEAR funds to compensate teachers for providing after-school tutoring to struggling academic students who are in need of supplemental face-to-face instruction. Also, additional classroom time will be available for our career and technical education students who are nearing release and in need of expedited hands-on skills and time required for those course completions and workplace readiness. This program is being implemented at 53 campuses and over 160 teachers electing to participate. We are excited about the opportunity to provide additional instructional time to learners who will benefit from additional face-to-face instruction to mitigate the potentially negative effects that COVID-19 has had on academic and career and technical education courses.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, then thank you very much, Mr. Lilly. The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a resolution for an additional efforts stipend for Windham employees. Ms. Hartman, please proceed.
Yes, good morning again, Chairman and members. At this time, I will now present a resolution to the board requesting an additional effort stipend for Windham School District staff. Please turn to tab G of your board packet, where you will find a copy of the resolution. This document outlines an expenditure of district funds to provide compensation for the additional effort staff will put forth in the coming months to meet the workplace challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic. Staff will be required to work above and beyond their normal work duties as they safely navigate their work environment to support the goals of the district and educate students. This additional effort stipend distinguishes the extra work that will be required of staff and will support employee retention. It is important to note that exempt employees within Windham School District, which include all of our teachers, do not earn overtime or comp time during working days for any additional hours or effort put forth in the course of duties that have now increased due to COVID-19. This resolution outlines a $700 one-time payment for future additional duties of all staff employed in the district on January 6, 2021, who continue employment through March 31st, 2021. Lapsed salaries will be used to fund the additional effort stipend, which will be provided to staff in January. I ask for the board approval of this resolution, and at this time, I will pause for any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Windham School District Board of Trustees approve the resolution for an additional effort stipend for Windham employees as presented, and that the chairman and the secretary sign the resolution for additional effort stipend for Windham employees.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Was that Ms. Perryman?
That was Faith Johnson. Finally.
Oh, that was Judge Johnson. I'm still failing, aren't I?
That's okay.
A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Judge Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the annual review of Windham School District Board Policy WBP-11.12, revision point 12, investment policy and resolution adopting the investment policy. The Windham Chief Financial Officer, Robert O'Banion, will be presenting. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. O'Banion. Would you please begin?
Thank you, Chairman and members. I'd like to reference tab H in your board packet. This morning, I'm presenting the Windham Board Policy 11.12, known as the investment policy for annual review. This is in accordance with Chapter 2256 of the Texas Government Code, the Public Funds Investment Act, and in conjunction with the board's responsibilities as the WSD Board of Trustees. There were no substantive changes to the policy. Only minor adjustments to the dates and member names were also updated. We ask for your approval of the policy as presented, along with a resolution adopting the investment policy. At this time, I'll pause for any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Windham School District Board of Trustees approve the annual review of WSD Board Policy 11.12, investment policy, and resolution adopting the investment policy as presented, and that the chairman sign the resolution adopting the policy.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Dr. Burrow. A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Dr. Burrow. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding purchases and contracts over $500,000. Mr. O'Banion, please proceed.
Thank you again, Chairman and board members. Under tab I of your board packet, my second request this morning is for approval of a purchase over $500,000. We recommend awarding this purchase to GED Testing Service. The contract includes an annual licensing fee totaling $625,000 for student and high school equivalency testing for a 3-year period beginning January the 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023. The contract was negotiated with a minimum number of tests each year at a rate of $50 per student. The contract provides for additional student tests at the same per student rate if it's needed. Additionally, there is a $6.25 jurisdictional administrative fee for each of our 4 testing content areas that are delivered to students. GED Testing Service is an approved vendor under contract with the State Board of Education to provide the high school equivalency test and has consistently been our provider in the past. GED Testing Service is widely known and recognized by employers in Texas to assist students in obtaining employment. Funding for this contract is included in this year's budget for the respective amount and will be incorporated into future budgets. At this time, I'll pause for any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Oh, Ambassador, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I've been speaking without knowing that you couldn't hear me. Mr. Chairman, yes, I move that the Windham School District Board of Trustees approve the purchases and contracts over $500,000 as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion. A motion has been made. It has been seconded by Mr. Nichols. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding revision of Windham School District Board Policy 07.44, Revision 3, Professional Standards of Conduct and Disciplinary. The Windham General Counsel, Mike Monville, will be presenting. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Monville, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. If you turn to tab J, you'll find copies of proposed revisions. to Wyndham Board Policy 7.44, Professional Standards of Conduct and Discipline. Revisions to the policy include a number of changes made for clarity and grammar improvements, but also to reflect the increased use of more formal fact-finding investigations before any corrective or disciplinary action is taken. We ask that you approve the revised policy as presented. I will now pause for any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wyndham School District Board of Trustees approve the revision of WSD Board Policy 07.44, Professional Standards of Conduct and Disciplinary as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made. It has been seconded by Judge Francis. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding revision of Wyndham School District Board Policy 07.49, Revision 1, Sick Leave Pool. Mr. Monville, please continue.
If you would kindly turn to tab K, you will find copies of the proposed revisions to Wyndham Board Policy 7.49, Sick Leave Pool. We are proposing revisions to the definitions of a number of items, including catastrophic illness or injury, licensed practitioner statement, and a release to return to work. We have also updated the application process to take into account the new automated system used in human resources. We ask that you approve the revised policy as presented, and I will pause for any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wyndham School District Board of Trustees approve the revision of Wyndham School District Board Policy 07.49, Sick Leave Pool as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Perryman.
A motion has been made, has been seconded by Ms. Perryman. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a revision of Wyndham School District Board Policy 07.54, Revision 1, Military Leave. Mr. Monville, you may continue.
Thank you. Finally, if you turn to tab L, you will find proposed revision to Wyndham Board Policy 7.54, Military Leave. The proposed revisions include adding a time section for when a service member must return to work after release from active duty, and another section concerning health insurance options while on active duty. We ask that you approve the revised policy as presented, and I will pause for any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wyndham School District Board of Trustees approve the revision of the Wyndham School District Board Policy 07.54, Military Leave as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Johnson.
A motion has been made, has been seconded by Judge Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. I would like to thank all of you for coming here today and remind you that the next meeting of the Wyndham School District Board of Trustees will be Friday, February 19th, 2021 via video conference. There being no further business, the 321st meeting of the Wyndham School District Board of Trustees is now adjourned. It is 11:50. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody. And
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.